Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another show of Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. Hello, world.
Hey, guys, what's up?
Hello. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to everybody. And Jose, we are happy to see you back in full force. It's the return of the Jedi.
Thanks. I know a lot of people have been messaging me. I put up some posts on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. I want everybody to know that even though I'm not smoking, but I've been working, I feel much better. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm 8.5 to 9. But in a couple of weeks, I think
is that what the women are telling you?
No hablo inglés. But anyway, thanks for all the prayers, all the thoughts, and feeling better every day. And the only thing I'm just going to say, guys, this is not the flu. Social distance yourself. Use your mask because we want you all around. So glad to be back.
And we're glad to have you back, Jose.
Very glad.
We've got a hell of an episode today, don't worry.
Oh my God.
Oh my God is what's on everybody's lips.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Let's start it out that way.
Should we present this as oh my God?
Could be.
Do these gentlemen need any presentation?
To be honest, they don't, but they're good guys.
All right. I'll leave this one up to you, Jose. Ladies and gentlemen, Jose is going to present our guests of honors today. We don't have one, but we have two, and I believe they are even genetically linked.
Well, today's a special show. I mean, I've known Eric for many, many years, and Jordan, I've followed their career. They're the guys behind one of the most successful websites and podcasts in the industry. My good friends, Eric and Jordan, welcome to our show. And welcome Dojo Nation tonight here and Meet the Professor. Hi, guys.
Welcome,
gentlemen.
gentlemen.
There we are. We're on. It's live. Thank you for the nice introduction there, Jose. I'm Eric. This is Jordan. As most folks know, he's the producer of Smoke Night Live. He does a lot of editing on Cigar Dojo and whatnot. So yeah, we're honored to be on the show today, guys. Thank you.
To us, it's a pleasure having, it's not every day that you see father and son do a show like you guys done. And I mean, Cigar Dojo is not only, huge in the States, but it has a following worldwide. And I know there's a lot of people tuning in tonight because I've seen a lot of people that made a lot of comments from all over Eastern and Western Europe. So let's take it on. So, Eric, where were you born?
I was actually born here in Denver, Colorado. I was born a very young child, which was interesting, but just right here right in the heart of Denver. I'm a native.
And I guess that goes the same thing for my buddy Jordan too.
Yeah, that's right. Native people in Colorado are super proud of being native Coloradans. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, we love our exotic heritage being from Colorado.
Yeah, well, and probably maybe in 30 or 40 years the Rockies will go to the World Series, right?
Well, now come on,
we did it once.
We did it once. We got shellacked horribly, but we did make it to the World Series one time.
Okay. Let me ask you this first, Eric.
And then came cannabis growing in the region, and all went downhill from
there. Exactly. That was the end of the Rockies' reign.
You asked the question, Jose. You say, "What's so great about Denver?" And I mean, come on. On one hand, you have Aspen. On the other hand, you have weed. What are you talking about?
And Vail too.
Exactly.
Eric,
it's kind of sad that people nowadays, when you say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Colorado," and they're, "Oh, Colorado."
Yeah, it used to be. You like to ski, huh?
Yeah.
That's funny. Eric, do you remember your first cigar?
So yeah, actually, my first cigar, I'm trying to think of the crazy, it's like one of those I still have the box, Jose. It's not really a box, it's like a little paper 5-pack or whatever that you get at the grocery store. I think they were called like El Presidente or something like that. And me and my buddies went to play pool, and we thought, hey man, we were like 16 years old or whatever. And so we were like smoking these like El Presidentes or whatever, shooting pool, acting like we were big shots and that kind of thing. And then a couple days later, somehow or other, my parents had found the cigars. And I come walking into the living room, and like everybody has a cigar in their mouth. My dad, my mom, my sisters, my brother, kind of mocking me. So there was a long period in my life where I didn't smoke cigars or anything. And actually, Jordan kind of got me back into cigars, 10 years ago or however long ago that was, 11 years ago.
Through Casa Fuente.
Yeah, Casa Fuente. That's where it all started.
I took him by there, and that's all. That's all it took.
Yeah, it was crazy. They were like, "Hey, let's go smoke a cigar," and I was like, I don't. But I didn't want to be like the lone guy that didn't want to do it or have fun. So I was like, okay, I'll smoke a cigar with you, with my boys, in Vegas. It was kind of fun, and then after that, boom, I was hooked again, and I've been going nuts ever since.
Jordan, your first cigar, do you remember?
Yeah, I think I was about 16 as well, and one of my buddies had this, obviously a fake Cuban, but we thought it was a real Cuban at the time, that he had gotten on a like a cruise to Cozumel or something 5 years earlier, and he'd just been like keeping it in his drawer and like not humidified or anything, and like we just passed this fake Cuban around between, like, it was my brother and my buddy, and it was terrible. And yeah, I think we thought there was some sort of magical qualities to the Cuban that we had, but it's just a fake terrible cigar.
Yeah, it happens. It's the one that I like the most is when I'm doing events, the people show up with the glass top box of Cohiba, and they go and I go like, hey, it's fake, but you haven't even seen. I said, they don't make it with glass top. But anyway, okay, this is a question that I personally don't know the answer, and I think a lot of people would like to hear it. Without a doubt, Cigar Dojo has become, like I said in the introduction, one of the most popular, well-known, and respected cigar websites. I would like to know the inspiration for the name and how it came about.
All right. I guess, Jordan, you can help me out with the story as I go along. But
Sure thing.
So back when we kind of first got back into smoking cigars, or when I did, I thought it would be fun to, because I did a lot of web work and consulting for companies on SEO and that kind of stuff. So like I build websites all the time, that kind of thing. But when we were getting into cigars, I thought, hey, it'd be kind of fun is we'll just start our own blog, and this way we can kind of catalog our thoughts on cigars that we smoke. And so we started this blog, and it was called
Quick Cigar Reviews.
Right. Quickcigarreviews.com is what it was called.
So catchy.
Very catchy.
Just rolls off the tongue.
And so we started doing really short. Our idea at the time was, let's just do, like, nobody wants to read a big, long review. At the time, this is what we thought. We were wrong, but this is what we thought. Nobody wants to read a big review. They just want a quickie 3-sentence summary of a cigar. And so we started doing like these quickie cigar reviews, hence quickcigarreviews.com. Well, lo and behold, this website started to get some legs, started to get some traction, and we were starting to get traffic that we weren't expecting. And because it was done relatively nice. It looked similar to the way the Dojo website used to look. And so then we thought, hey, like, this is actually catching on, but I don't like the branding of this, like quickcigarreviews.com. It's a little too limiting. You can't really, like, who wants to have that on a t-shirt, And
we're going to do this. We're going to go all in.
Yeah, so we're going to go all in. So me and Jordan started to investigate a better domain name and doing the website right and putting a little bit more effort into it. And it was Jordan
Yeah, it's not a romantic story at all. We were trying to come up with something that conveyed community in the name, because you had experience building online communities, and we knew even if we were doing reviews, we kind of wanted guys to be, commenting, feeling a part of the review, writing their own reviews in the comment section, that kind of thing. This is before we had an app in mind, and so, we went through a few different ideas, and all the domain names were taken, and Cigar Dojo wasn't. It was available.
So Jose, people ask me all the time. They always say, like, "Are you really like a master? Are you like a sensei? You're actually a sensei?" And I'm like, "No, dude. I know zero about karate, man. It's just the marketing. It's just
Dojo,
marketing.
It had this community feel to it, and it sounds good.
And then we came up with a really cool logo, which people like, and the rest is history. So.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Cigar Dojo, I mean, you guys gone through many different phases. You've gotten companies to do specialty cigars for you, the way you guys review. But, at the end of the day, you've been around now, it's what, 10 years?
So next year, well, actually, yeah, I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years because QuickCigarReviews.com was like,
but we can't count that.
We're not counting that. So next year will be the official 10-year anniversary of Cigar Dojo.
Oh. Hey, well, that is awesome.
How are you doing, Melanie?
I am great. I just want to sneak in here real quick and let everybody know that you have to get ready to nail the professor. He is alive and well now, so do not forget, you guys. Let's get him. All right, so please be sure to put your questions into the comments, and we will chat about that later.
Guys, this is a question we've asked some of your colleagues that have been on the show. So it could be Eric or Jordan or both of you. Why do so many bloggers and websites fail?
Well, Jordan. I would say there's a lot of reasons probably. But it's certainly, as far as like cigar blogs and what we do are concerned, I think that, I don't know, Jordan, tell me what you think, but I think it's people don't realize how much work it is.
Right.
And so like that's you can start a blog like this. I'm going to do cigar reviews. I'm going to take pictures. It's going to be really cool. And then 8 months later, you're like, why am I doing this? Like, this is a massive amount of work. I mean, we put so much effort into every single review. I mean, Jordan spends an entire day just on the photography alone. And then, so, by the time that we're pretty close after you're editing it and all of that, I mean, you put a lot of work into it. But by the time a review comes up, Jordan, when you say that's like 2 days worth of work, close to it.
I mean, a day, maybe.
But I'll say 2. He'll say 1. Anyways, it's a lot of work. That's the bottom line, is a lot of work. And after a year or so, people just, they kind of bow out. You have to really, really be passionate. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah. I mean, if it's more broad, I'd say good photography, engaging content, and stick-to-itiveness. But that last one is what it really is. You just have to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So many guys, I think, Jose, they just, they're super passionate at the beginning, and then it starts to tail off. Now, for me and Jordan, we made a conscious decision. This is going to be our business. I mean, we're going to do this 60 hours a week, both of us, constantly. And then we have other people that work for us, sort of like as contractor guys that do reviews. And we have a Wednesday night show where we have 2 other hosts, Robbie and Randy, that do a great job. So to us, this isn't a hobby. To us, this is our life. This is how we pay our bills and our mortgages. And so we put literally 110% of our effort into this venture.
Yeah, because if you look at it, and I'm not going to get into names, there was a time that at the show there was 30, 40, 50, people who had websites that were bloggers going. And as the years have gone by, you see less and less and less. I think you guys nailed it, I would say, pretty hard or pretty good, because it is a lot of hard work. But also something that a lot of people have told me is that a lot of people lost a lot of credibility. And like when you do, let's say your top 10 cigars of the year, and you have sponsors, and 5 of the 10 cigars are from that sponsor, you start to lose all your credibility right away. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. And the guys who are out there doing a great job, that are, I would say maybe 10, 12, maybe 15 max, even though there's a couple of guys that are coming up that are really doing good jobs. I think you really have to put in a lot of work.
Yeah,
I personally think that.
Yeah, Jose, there's sort of like two philosophies that are in error that happen when people start these kind of blogs. And there's one sort of train of thought that's like, I'm going to start this cigar blog and I'm just going to
be honest. I'm going to bash everybody.
I'm going to be harsh. I'm going to be, provocative. My reviews are going to really be hard hitting. And that, after a while, you realize that sort of that negativity towards the industry, people don't want that negativity towards the industry. Like, you can read a review here or there that's kind of maybe harsh on a particular cigar, but if you're this sort of provocateur guy, like, the cigar industry tends to be super positive. And then there's sort of this other train of thought that's, I'm just going to love every single cigar. Like, I'm going to give it a 90. Every cigar is a 98 or a 99. And then the people will share my content and the companies will love me. But the honest to God truth is the answer to that is you can't really do either of those things. You sort of have to just be objectively positive. I say objectively positive. This is a positive industry. People put a ton of effort into this craft. Even cigars that I don't like, I realize that there are people that love that cigar, and the effort that that company put in to make that cigar, it might have taken 4 years for that cigar to get to my hands. So I'm not going to come out and be the provocateur just bashing everything. Yes, I will. We might objectively say, this cigar has issues with the draw or whatever, that kind of thing. But we're not just going to be the guys that just come out, bash
him for it.
Yeah, bash him. We just want to let people know, hey, you might experience this, you might experience that, that kind of thing. So we feel like, there's a balance, right?
No, I agree. Eric, how hard is it? How does it feel working with Jordan?
It's actually it's very humbling because I now realize that I don't do anything correctly. This guy, he is a perfectionist, and so like I just try to keep up as best I can. No, honestly,
but if I was running things, we'd post like one article a year.
That's true. We make a good team because Jordan is a perfectionist, right? So like he'll want to take and get every little detail correct, every pixel in its perfect location. I'm kind of like hey, let's get this done kind of guy. We got to get this out. We got to do the next article. We got to move. So between our two sort of personality traits, we kind of come up with a pretty decent middle ground. Yeah.
Jordan, how hard is it for you to convince your father sometimes about things?
He's kind of just learned that I'm just right. So I've got him trained, it's not too bad.
Actually, Jose, the beauty of this thing is what a lot of people that follow Jordan know. And maybe, I don't know if you know this or not. He's a young guy. He's in his early 30s, but he's an old soul. He's like a 75-year-old man in a young guy's body, because he's got this, he's a curmudgeon, right?
My lawn.
He's kind of a get off my lawn guy. So we actually relate to each other pretty well, since he does have this sort of old soul to him. Oh, I think you're muted.
There we go. All right, gentlemen. It's that time of the day when the crowd out there, and there's a big one today, is going to try to nail the professor. Is everybody ready?
I'm ready.
So am I. All right, let's pull this up. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Nail the Professor. Melanie.
Ooh, hello. All right. So I saw a couple of questions in here. I didn't see many, but Let's see. So I believe, I don't know exactly where it is, but David Clark asked, how did the shark come into fusion? The Don Carlos, the shape of it, I suppose.
Listen, to be honest, I wish Carlito would be on the show, but I don't know, because exactly, I don't know all the details. I've heard it, but I'm not going to go out and say it was done this way because I don't know the real story. I've heard it, but to give a detail about this, it would have to be Carlito. I don't know if Cynthia's around and maybe could get into this because I was not really, when it was created, the format and the shape and everything at Fuente, I was not working at Fuente at that time. Jeremiah, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
I got a surprise for you because somebody just popped around the corner. So if you'll excuse me for a second, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Carlito Fuente.
Hey, hello, everyone. You there? Hello? Hello?
Hello. Hey.
Great. First of
We're
all,
here.
hey, man, great to see you guys. First of all, well, to answer the question on the shark, it's I guess it's twofold. First of all, we were pioneers in creating a lot of shapes. It started with the Hemingway shape that we wanted to bring back and honor the past, a shape that was lost for decades in our industry. And one thing led to another, started doing shapes. And then we started with the Cigar Family Charitable Foundation in St. Jude. And I recognized that cigars that were different would bring a lot of money for charity. So we started making different shapes and so forth for charity events. And I always believe in, after a while, people figure out how to do it. And I saw there were so many people, making shapes similar to our Hemingways, because that for 30 years, that was not on the market other than Hemingway. And it wasn't until after the boom started making them. I said to myself, I want to create something that has never, ever been done. And I said, there's never been a cigar that's round to square. And it's not a cigar that is pressed. A cigar is not pressed. It's made round to square. And the idea of the shark came out. And why Eye of the Shark for Don Carlos, that I named in honor of my father to celebrate his life, was because my father has such a sense of seeing things, even where people didn't see them. And I noticed being in an aquarium with my son when he was very, very young. At a shark, I always thought it had one fin, but it has two fins. It has another fin in the back. And I was looking at the shark, and I noticed it doesn't ever close his eyes. And I thought of my father; he never closed his eyes. Always had his eyes open. That's why it's 77. Because if you look at the fin, my imagination, the way I see things, I saw it too. So that's why when we came out with the Shark 77, there is one higher 7, a lower 7. They represent the fins of a shark, and my father had the Eye of the Shark. So that was the reason why the cigar was named after my father.
It's an excellent cigar. One of my favorites for sure. That is fabulous.
Did somebody just nail the professor?
I think so.
No,
officially.
I don't think so, because actually the professor knows that. Not that I get upset, but it kind of turns my stomach inside out when I see he answers one of the things that that maybe I don't want to be. The professor definitely knows. He was not he was not nailed, not yet.
All right. What's the greatest advice to anyone who is thinking about doing a national cigar review website community? I'm not sure if this was for the professor. Oh, wait, hold on. Here's one for the professor. What are you going to do if something happens, fire, flood, thief, with the tobacco, which you prepare to roll for a well-known blend, and you don't have any more from that tobacco, which was ready for a significant amount of time? Mute. Oh.
Okay, Professor, you're going to have to hit the unmute button there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Listen, when you have the credibility, and I'm talking, and maybe Carlito wants to elaborate on this, when you have the credibility, when you have for years and years be consistent, where quality has been above quantity, and you lose all your tobacco. I mean, I don't think you can lose all your tobacco, but you can lose part of your tobacco. What you do is you don't make those cigars that were supposed to be made with that tobacco. Because as soon, when you're using tobaccos that are 4, 5, 6 years old, and all of a sudden you start using tobaccos that are a year and a half, it's not going to be the same tobacco. It's not going to be the same cigar. You're going to lose overnight all your credibility. So in my case, I would not do the cigars till I have the tobacco.
I just want to say something to Michael there. Michael, this one's for you because this is perfect. Melanie, please send a bobblehead to Michael Herklotz because he just nailed the professor.
That was cute. Oh, I love it. I got one more. If let's see. I've got a question. Daniel from Daniel. He says, "What is his color and what type of flavor does?" Oh, now it just moved. Impart to a cigar. So maybe like what does color and flavor?
Okay, color doesn't have to do anything with the flavor of cigars, because if you have a Maduro, let's say with a Connecticut broadleaf, you're going to get a lot of sweetness. If you have something with a light color or maybe a Viso from Ecuador, you're going to get a lot of spice to it. If you have a Negro San Andres, let's say Ligero from it, you're going to get that sweetness, but a totally different sweetness that you would get from a Connecticut broadleaf. So color does not have to do anything with the taste. Or let's say, let's go to Cameroon. I mean,
I think I messed up. I think I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase this. He says Olor. So Olor.
Olor.
There you go.
Okay, Olor is a type of Dominican tobacco that, to be honest, my personal opinion, I don't want anybody to get offended. I'm not a big fan of it.
Uh-oh. We got some boxing gloves that are going to come on now. Carlito.
Personally, I'm talking about me personally.
There's some things, no hablo español. Oh, no hablo inglés.
Listen, I mean, there's certain olors that I've tasted are absolutely incredible.
No,
especially if they're picked properly and they come from the right type of seeds. They're insanely good.
And if they're aged, the problem is, and I'm not going to get into details about this. The problem is there's a lot of people who grow olor in Dominican Republic that, as we say in Spanish, no tienen pedigrí. But there's zones where it's grown that is absolutely fantastic, but it has to be aged. My personal opinion, and I've used olor, and I've used olor wrapper too, but it needs time. Olor, depending where it's grown, could be good, and it could be average, and it could be like, this, that. So it's not, but personally, I'm not a big fan of it. This is personally. If I get crucified, I get crucified on this.
Hey, listen, everybody can have good taste, and everybody can have bad taste.
Okay, let's continue with our friends Eric and Jordan. Eric, we all know that the courts gave us a very favorable ruling a couple of months ago. It was a battle that we won, but it's not the war. I said that for us to keep this going, we have to unite. A lot of people have to put aside the egos, get off their horses. This ruling, how do you see it?
Well, to be, brutally honest, I only just sort of scrape the surface on these types of issues. I kind of feel like as soon as I start talking about FDA stuff, like the audience's eyes glaze over and people start falling asleep. So I don't get in depth into it like my buddy, Coop does. Like Coop's my man. When there's issues like this, I go to Coop. But it sort of seems like that the last ruling that we got really is just a delay. Like right. I don't even know if it was a victory at all, other than just sort of like pushing,
just giving them time to regroup to come at us harder.
Yeah, right. And so, and now, you know, with things changing and administrations changing, that could, you know, alter things dramatically. We don't really know yet how that will go. You know, we're keeping our fingers crossed that that the FDA sort of continues to like kind of ignore us. You know, and when I say us, I mean the premium cigar industry, of course. So we're just hoping that they just continue to kind of ignore us and feel like it's too much work for them to deal with. So they're just going to keep kind of kicking the can down the road.
Gentlemen, somebody just jumped on the show. I want to pull her in. She's the queen of our industry. And gentlemen never keep a lady waiting. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Cynthia Fuente. Cynthia, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hello there,
Look at
Eric and
there.
Jordan.
Ah,
Yes.
the nicest woman in the entire industry right there.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to welcome you to our show, Meet the Professor. I was so excited. I know we've been in touch, and I mean, you guys are the best. So my brother said, please join us today. And I said, it's my absolute honor and pleasure. Usually I always help Melanie with the comments on Facebook Live, but today I wanted to just jump in. I remember when I was on your podcast, which was such an honor for me, and it was so much fun. I mean, we've done so many, and I know you mentioned William Cooper, and he is so wonderful as well. But I have to say, you were one of my top favorites. It was such a great Friday night. And I remember bringing out my Pappy Van Winkle, which I only bring out on very special occasions. So I brought it out today, again, in honor of you guys, because you both are so special. And Pappy's always like calling for a celebration. And today's a celebration to have both of you join us. You'll have so much to share, and you do so much for our industry. I really honestly think the world of you. And you introduced me to the Cigar Junkies too, which I really think they're great. I follow them all the time.
The bourbon junkies, right? You're talking about the bourbon.
The bourbon junkies. That's right. What I mean. I'm sorry. The bourbon junkies. Of course.
No, Cynthia, you're like one of the rare women I know that is a bourbon aficionado. Like I appreciate that so much from you. Like me and you, we can actually just talk bourbon, boom, boom. You know, like you know your stuff. You know your bourbon, and me being a bourbon fanatic, you know.
It's like the tobacco. It's like, you know, the passion for the leaf. You're learning every day. And in the bourbon world, you're learning every day as well. And I remember at the end of our show, we were there. I was like, may I ask you a question? And then I was asking Jordan questions and you questions about bourbons, questions that I had and so forth. But it was a lot of fun. So I really appreciate you joining us today. And I just wanted to pop in and say hello. So I'm here to listen to all your beautiful stories.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us on.
Okay.
Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Jeremiah. And Carlito and Melanie. Kevin, open this up.
Oh, there she goes.
When's the last time you had Pappy's midday?
Oh, I know. Wait.
Only the coolest can pull that off.
You got to keep the camera on Cynthia. She's about ready to pour some
midday Pappy's.
She's having some Pappy 15 right there.
Well, by the way, Sunday is always a celebration, and you being on our show is a huge celebration. And it's Casacuba Sunday as well. And I have these beautiful raw glasses that my friend Danny William gave me. So I'm just gonna have like a little toast to both of you.
And that
is very appropriate.
That looks like Pappy 15 year.
Yes. Let's see. Yes, which was actually a gift from a gentleman named Joel, who is so passionate about our foundation, Cigar Family Charitable Foundation, and he has been such a huge supporter. And he gave me this as a gift like 3 Christmases ago. So you could tell how I take care of it.
Now,
so this is to Jordan and Eric.
Well, cheers. A lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people don't realize this, but so you have several versions of Pappy. The oldest is the 23, and you have the 20, you have the 15. The next ones down aren't officially Pappy.
No, they're just Van Winkle.
But Cynthia, we always judge people on their bourbon taste when we ask them, what's your favorite Pappy? Is it 15, 20, or 23? If they say 15, we know that they know bourbon and they know the best one, because the 15 is the absolute best Pappies.
And I agree. That's what I've heard. I learned it from you, and I have had the honor of tasting the different ones. Not that I own them, but I've tasted them at Davidoff, and 15 is my favorite as well.
It's delicious.
So, Yes.
Eric
Yes.
and Jordan, why do so many companies fail?
Cigar companies or any kind of company?
No, we're talking cigar companies.
Okay. I'll let Jordan start with this one.
I would say a lot of the time it's just not they're not engaging enough. They don't know their audience.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also, I think that again, it sort of gets down to staying power. Like it's one thing to be going to all the shows, writing press releases, pushing your product for a year, for 2 years. But when it gets, to that second year, third year, that's sort of like the critical time, right? Like if you're not just out there, pounding the pavement, showing up at cigar lounges, making appearances on blogs, sending samples out for people to review, like everything. Like there's no like one single thing. But if you're not constantly doing that, and we've seen that with a lot of companies, recently, just in the last couple of years, because of all the FDA stuff, they start to kind of like pull back because they're not sure, understandably so, because they don't know what's going to happen in the industry. But as soon as you pull back and you kind of lose that momentum, it's super hard to pull it back. We've also seen companies to try to like come back into the industry, and it's even harder then because like you've already kind of made your splash a few years ago, and now you're trying to
and then you end up with this. The problem that most get into is then they get in this cycle where the only way to stay relevant is to come out with something new. So they're constantly introducing new lines, and they never spent the time to build up the core that they had at the beginning. And then you're kind of, once you get into that phase, you're kind of stuck.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Eric, you have interviewed many, I would say from A to Z, everybody practically in the industry. Who has been the hardest person for both of you, because you guys do the show, to interview? Who's given you the hardest time? Or the hardest?
Yeah, definitely, without question, Matt Booth. Matt Booth tries I like to keep our show sort of like PG-13-ish so that anybody can watch, and Matt Booth is always trying to like to make my face turn red, and so he knows what buttons to push with me, so he's constantly like trying to like push me over the edge.
I think he kind of opened the show up like by force into the R rating realm. Like now the show is just like whatever the guest is, that's what the rate. It used to be like, no, we're PG-13, but now we're just like Matt Booth's been on enough times, like
yeah,
say what you want.
But I love him. He's been on he's probably been on, I don't know, 6 or 7 times, but he's a great guest, but he's definitely my most challenging interview. But I do have a trick. I have a Matt Booth trick. Like if I start talking to Matt Booth about like old punk rock or skateboarding, I can bring him into sort of like the normal realm where he almost like a normal person. But if you don't do that, like Matt Booth, like he's eccentric. Let's just put it at that.
The easiest person that you have interviewed?
I gotta say, the other night, Jordan, Michael Herklotz was on Friday night. We've had him on before. He's definitely one of the
sharp cat.
He's a sharp cat. Michael Herklotz. Terrence Riley is great to have on the show. What are some of our other favorite guests that we have?
Well, if you can get Eric Espinosa on the show, he's one of the best guests of all time.
If you can get him to figure out his technology.
Yeah, he has to be able to open his phone up, and that's the hard part.
Question for both of you. You're only going to be able to have one spirit for a year. What would it be?
This is an easy
Come
one.
on.
Bourbon. It's bourbon.
Bourbon neat. No ice,
Yeah.
guys. You don't throw there's no reason to put ice in there.
I don't even want it chilled. I want it
The
room
colder your
temperature.
bourbon is, the less you're going to taste. I want to taste that raw nectar.
Right. So we agree 100% on that one.
We, the CRA has done a fantastic job. It's won a lot of battles, and it's always has a lack of money. And people don't understand that CRA is our last line of defense. It's the only organization that's out there that is really fighting battles day after day. In your opinion, well, I would like to hear both opinions. What does the CRA have to do to get more membership? Because we haven't been able, we have an idea, we've been working with CRA for a long time, but what is it people are so hesitant to sign up, especially cigar lovers who spend a lot of money on cigars, but they're not willing to give those $35 a year like the people would do with the NRA and things like that?
I think that's a tough question, but it sort of seems to me, and this is really bizarre to me, in that, like, in the cigar industry, or like on our, we have, our community at dojoverse.com. That's like our app, where it's like a social app for cigar smokers. Like, everybody on that app is in tune with the CRA. They're all members. They all understand what's going on. They know what's going on with the FDA. And so, like, I tend to feel like, wow, every cigar smoker kind of knows what's what. But then you go to a shop and you start talking to the tobacconist behind the counter, and you say, wow, that was crazy about what the FDA said today. And they have no idea. Like, and they're the tobacconist, and I'm like, how do they not know? So it seems like there's some sort of maybe disconnect with the CRA and, like, the actual brick and mortar shop. Obviously there's some brick and mortars, many of them that are completely in tune, but I guess I'm talking maybe more mom and pop kind of shops that just, they don't know. So they don't tell their customers. So the customers that are sitting in there smoking cigars, they don't know. I don't know, Jordan, what do you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. And just like you were saying, like, the guys that are on, like, our app, those are the types of guys where cigars are personal to them. That's their lifestyle. And so they, of course, are on board. But there's so many, you tend to forget how many cigar smokers, that represents is a teeny little fraction. Most cigar smokers, it's not a lifestyle to them. They just order them online, and it doesn't really matter that much to them. I don't know what the solution is.
Well, the solution is to continue the fight and to keep reminding everybody out there and everybody watching tonight that these organizations are unbelievably important for our industry and unbelievably important for the rights of the cigar smokers. It's just a war which Carlito and many of his colleagues and friends have been fighting for many, many years. And I'm sure Carlito has something to say about this.
No, it is a fight, and it's a fight that must continue. And I agree with Jordan that when he said earlier that, this is just it's just a moment. It's a phase where we're just in pause. I think they're going to come back harder and stronger against the cigar industry and against the rights of cigar lovers. I don't like to use the word smokers. When I hear someone mention to cigar smoker, it really, like, I feel like needles going through my body, because I think of smokers as people who use other products, other tobacco products. I think we're cigar enthusiasts, we're cigar lovers, we're passionate. Most cigar smokers, on the average, smoke 1.7 cigars a month. So it's an occasional celebration for most of the people who enjoy cigars. And it's just very sad when it's not only about cigars, it's about a lifestyle. It's about protecting your rights. And I don't see why even people who don't enjoy a cigar do not get involved, just to understand that, overreach of government is not good for any segment of the consumer products. And, I just think that this is a cause where we just got to keep struggling, keep fighting. And here's Michael. Smoking is a habit. It's not smoking, it's enjoying cigars, but I love you, Michael. And there's Michael again. It's hard when you see Michael's name come up not to pause and stop and recognize his intelligence and his contribution to the industry. But I agree that we have to keep struggling and keep fighting very hard. And with time, if we keep pushing, we'll continue to move forward. I think we have a voice, and I think our voice should be heard. We have the facts. We have the studies made by FDA, where we're not a health threat to children, or it's not really a health threat. And that has been proven through all the studies from the New England Journal of Medicine and the studies that the FDA has funded and paid for. They have the information. And I think this is one of the reasons why the judge ruled in our favor recently. So we got to stick together and keep working hard and sign up for the CRA and any organization.
Yeah, Jose, part of your question was why are some people hesitant to join CRA? And I do think there is also this other aspect that some folks, certainly not us, of course, but some folks are a little nervous to have like their name in a registry that belongs to, say, Cigar Rights of America. It's kind of like when people poll folks, who are you voting for? Like some people are just afraid to say who they're voting for because they don't want to get put into any kind of, classification. So there is some of that too. And I remember Glenn Loop telling me, I don't know, it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. He was like, did you know like the Cigar Dojo is like our number 3 biggest source for new members? And at the time I was blown away. I was like, really? Wow. Like I had no idea. I mean, I know we talk about Cigar Rights of America, but I didn't realize that was, transferring into actual membership. So like if other bloggers and other, podcasts continue to remind people, continue to make people feel comfortable about belonging to Cigar Rights of America, I think that could be helpful as well.
Yeah, I agree. It makes sense.
All right, boys. It's time for Melanie to get on top of you. You ready?
Uh-oh. Look out. Don't tell my wife.
All right, Melanie. Time for your show.
Okay,
Ladies and gentlemen, oh, here it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Melanie's Hotspot.
Okay, first disclaimer that Jeremiah is from Switzerland. Okay, so we're just not going to be on top of each other. But here we go. All right, so I have some questions that I'm going to ask both of you, separate questions, but they're going to be about each other. All right, so are you ready for this?
Sure.
All right. So, Eric, what is the one thing that he loves?
The one thing that Jordan loves is home projects. He loves he's addicted. He's literally addicted to home projects. It's like, imagine like, like a crack addict or like a meth head that you find on the street. Someday Jordan will just be like, laying in the street with like a circular saw and some nails. He's like, give me some more, man. I gotta do some tile and grout, please.
I don't know how this happened either. Like you buy a house and then it's like those progressive commercials. You just become.
So are you going to start your own DIY show or something?
I've been tossing around that idea in my head.
DIY cigars, right? Oh, I'm kidding. Okay, don't do that. All right, then Jordan, what would be the most annoying habit that Eric has?
Well, he kicks me underneath the table constantly, or we'll be at work and we'll be working across from each other. He's always encroaching in my territory.
That's completely
kicking
untrue.
me under the table.
His feet are twice the size of mine. His feet are the one that are in the way. I'm just trying to maintain my own territory.
All right, Jordan, what is the most childish thing that Eric, what's the most childish thing Jordan still enjoys?
Making bizarre sound effects. Like he'll come into a room and like he can start beatboxing with his mouth or something at a excruciatingly high volume. It's the most, like, before our podcast starts, like before we go on the air, Smoke Night Live every Friday night, if the audience could hear what he's doing into the microphone, they would never listen again. It's absolutely horrific.
Oh my God, I'm laughing so hard because I do the same thing. My boyfriend is like, what are you doing? It's like,
well, you have to, as the producer, you have to make everyone laugh so that when the show starts, there's a natural laugh to start the show. It's
the energy that's very, so that's awesome. All right, so now, let's see, I'm getting you guys confused. I'm so sorry, but all right, Jordan. All right. So what is Eric's, Jordan, what is Eric's, oh, I'm sorry, which fictional character would Eric marry?
Oh. Well, okay, all right. Maybe Laura Petrie?
Yes! I like that.
Old school,
I like that. Dick Van Dyke.
All right. So, so now, Eric, which strange habit did Jordan have as a kid?
Let's see.
She's going to answer the same as the last question.
Singing in the bus or singing it wherever.
Jordan, I wouldn't call this a strange habit, but Jordan and his brother Dominic were pretty close in age, and so they would they actually had an interesting relationship. Like Jordan would be doing like something wrong, and then we'd go to spank Jordan or discipline him, and Dominic would like jump into the rescue, like, Dad, don't hurt Jordan, so they would protect each other. It was really cute. And the odd thing is now Jordan's two kids, my two grandkids, they're sort of the same way. They kiss each other, they hug each other, they get along. I don't understand it. Like siblings aren't supposed to get along that good, but they do. So there you go.
Oh,
Getting
that's
along.
awesome. Yeah, no, that's fabulous. All right, let me see. I think I've got one more. Would you rather? Okay, so this is for both of you. All right, so let's just pretend you're single people. All right, so both of you. Which for the other one? All right, so Eric for Jordan. Would Jordan rather date a stupid or an ugly person?
That's rough. I think he would rather date an ugly person because he's too detail oriented. He would not be able to stand the lack of intelligence. That would drive him crazy.
Stupid for you.
I'm telling Mom. I'm telling your mother.
Oh my God, you guys did great. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. Well, we do our best. So.
Well,
help us out, Jose.
That's what I can't help you out. When you get into the hot spot, every man for himself. So this is for both of you. What bothers you the most when you go to a retail shop?
Oh, you walk in and there's this group of dudes sitting around in a circle, all on these chairs that they've been in these chairs for like 40 years. They've never gotten up. And you walk in and they all just turn and look at you like, what are you doing in our shop? And then you just you're just forced on the outside and you just sit in the little chair in the corner. And
yeah. Jose, we've had this discussion here in the Dojo studio so many times. Like, how, if you own a shop, how do you avoid that sort of like circle of death, group of guys? Like, how can you break that up? But yet at the same time, those guys, they're probably your number one customer. So, there's this balance that you have to probably set between, providing a place for these the regular guys, and not ostracizing, your new clientele.
Yeah, some of them are part of the fiction, but I'll tell you, and I've never brought this up, and I'm sorry that I don't have the list here, but how many times have you walked into a shop and the rugs have been there for 20 years and you can grow corn on it, or you go in at 10 o'clock in the morning, the shop's opening, and still every ashtray is full with all the with the buds and all the ashes and everything like that. And how about when you walk into a shop, you're just visiting, and you ask the guy, the clerk that's there, I'm looking for a recommendation. The guy goes like, well, I don't smoke. What I do is I vape and I smoke cigarettes. I mean, if we could do a show about the annoying things that you find at cigar shops, and it would be like, it's a reality show. I mean,
what was like a week or two ago, you were calling a shop for a specific cigar, and even the buyer, you got the buyer on the phone. He had never even heard of, well, I don't know if you want to say the brand or not, but
yeah, it was a well-known cigar. And so I was looking for and the guy was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, but my buyer's right next to me. My cigar buyer's right next to me. He's like, hey, have you heard of, I don't even remember now what it was.
It was a well-known brand.
Okay. Well-known brand. Anyways, so he was like, oh, the buyer's right here. Hey, come here. You got da. And even the buyer was like, huh? I never even heard of that brand. I'm like, how can you be a cigar buyer and never have heard of this brand that I'm talking about? Anyways,
Yeah, I mean,
you know, what are you going to do? You feel bad for these guys that some of them are mom and pop's places. They're trying as hard as they can, but you know, get into the industry, you know, get
If you
involved.
gotta do it, go all in. Another one is like when you're in the humidor and you're kind of trying to hint to the tobacconist that's in there over your shoulder that you know what you're talking about, and he's not getting the hints. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's
Just calm down.
listen, to both of you, your favorite size.
Lonsdale.
Yeah, I mean, I probably gravitate most towards the Robusto just because I like to try the cigar in like its base form, but I do prefer a Lonsdale, Corona Gorda sometimes, something in there. I think a Lancero can be really, really fun, but it also can be really bad. Depends on the cigar, obviously, but that Lonsdale seems to be, it really does seem to be the perfect mix of the filler and the wrapper combination for most cigars.
Yeah, 6.5
I love what I'm hearing here. Small ring gauges. I love it.
I know, but listen to this, and I know Carlito wants to talk about this. Lonsdale, 6.5 by 44. It hardly sells now, but how big of a seller was that before, Carlito?
6.5 by 42 was one of the biggest sellers back in the 70s. Monte Cruz, Flamenco, all the cigars made by Tabacalera Garcia. It was huge. 6.5 by 42, 5.5 by 42, 5.5 by 43. That I'm just making an estimate, but I think that those two sizes back in the 60s and 70s must have been, you know, probably 70% of the sales in the United States. It's huge, and I agree with Eric and Jordan that wrapper relationship and so forth. It's probably the best size to really taste the wrapper, binder, and filler combination, but for some reason, it's just become out of fashion. People want thicker, heavier cigars. I think a lot of them are really, people are looking for strength and, you know, and not balance, and not something that you really want to get the flavors that is enjoyable, something that you could concentrate in and really enjoy. And actually, you know, when you talk about the 42 ring gauges, that was an average size back in, you know, when I was growing up in the industry. That was not a thin cigar. I mean, we made cigars that were 34 by 5, 34 by 5.5. They were very popular. But today, that's almost like what we would call panatella. And actually today, that's a harder cigar to make them consistent, to have them blend, be able to draw constantly, than making a 60 ring gauge or 58 or 56. Those cigars are much easier to make.
I want to jump on what Carlito just said. And we don't have much time, but I want to bring this subject up, maybe finish off with this, sizes and the importance of the size. I mean, why is it that the perfect sizes are the, you know, 42s, 46s, 50 ring gauge, 52, whatever it is, much smaller than what most of the market today is asking for? Why is it that the cigars are so much more balanced? Why is it that the magic happens at a level which is just, in my opinion, just hits the sweet spot? Why is the market so far away from that?
Look, to be honest, if we go back, I mean, 5.5 by 5.25 by 42 Corona, or it could have been a 42 or 43. I mean, how big was that size? I mean, in Europe, it's still, that in Robusto is huge. But if you look at personally, everybody knows that I like Corona Gorda is my favorite size. I like 44, I like 42, I like a Lancero. And there's something very important about Lanceros. Of course, a lot of people have tried to make Lanceros, but to be honest, I don't have to mention companies. Very, very, you could count with that companies that make a Lancero that's enjoyable, perfect, it's going to draw well, it's going to be balanced. And people ask me all the time, what's the hardest cigar to make? Is it a Diadema Fino? Is it a Salomon? And I will always say a Lancero 7 by 38. To me, and I'm not a roller, I couldn't roll a cigar to save my life, but I can tell you, and Carlito could testify to this, to me, the hardest cigar to make is a Lancero.
No, I agree with you, Jose.
I agree, Jose.
That wasn't the question. What do you think, Eric?
As to why that isn't more popular?
Why the disparity between taste, perfection, equilibrium, balance, and
Guys-
market demand.
Guys think that a bigger cigar is going to give them more flavor.
And maybe more value. So in all of the cigars that we've done, the collaborations that we've done, the hardest, I mean, the easiest for us is to sell a Toro. Like we can sell a Toro just much more easily than, you know, we've done a Lancero, we've done some other sizes, and those are always harder to sell. And what I can glean from that, you know, just based on talking to the guys in the community and whatnot, is it just sort of seems like people just think like, okay, if I'm getting a Toro, I'm getting my money's worth. I'm gonna have, you know, like a bigger experience, more flavor. It's gonna last longer, that kind of stuff. Whereas, you know, we would say, well, yeah, but maybe your experience is going to be a little shorter. Maybe you're only going to smoke for 50 minutes, but it's going to be a better 50 minutes, quality over quantity. But, you know, it's the consumer wants to get their money's worth.
Gentlemen, I just want to add to that also. It's something that I learned over 50 years of working in the industry. Learned from my grandfather, from all his peers, my father, all his peers. There's a reason for things if you look back in history. Who wrote the book, the Bible on cigars? It was the Cubans, los Cubanos. And when the real Cuban tobacco, the classic tobacco, it doesn't grow that large. It's more about flavor. It's about complexity and taste. It doesn't grow that big. So wrapper leaves were not really that big. So there was a reason. And there's only a certain amount of leaves produced by the classic tobacco plant. So for you to be able to use a volao, a seco viso, a ligero, whatever they did, whatever part of the plant, there was only so many leaves in the plant. And to be able to keep balance and have inventory, aged tobaccos, you had to make a certain size. That is the reality of it. With time, with science, now you got all these hybrids. Tobacco grows very big. So now you can use bigger wrappers and you can use bigger things. Tobacco's not the same as it was. It was small, it was feminine, it was flavorful, it was an explosion of flavor. That is the reality. With the change of tobaccos, people were able to make bigger cigars, and marketing people were able to convince people, as you said, Eric, there's more value in the bigger cigars, but it's not the balance and it's not the purity of what a tobacco plant is meant to give birth to. And that is the perfect cigar, which is those mid-sizes which you're referring to. That is just my opinion, and that's history.
Speaking of that, as soon as I'm done with my Don Carlos, I'm going to smoke the Añejo 88, right? Is that the 88?
Yeah.
888.
Yeah, the 888.
Yeah, right.
So that is up next for me, which is a gorgeous sized cigar there, right there.
Well, that is a fusion between a Lancero and a Lonsdale. So there you got it.
Perfect.
After the 46, that's my favorite.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the third part of the show and the final part of the show. We're going to bring in the one and only Rich Myberg on Rich's Riot. Rich, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, everybody. There's so much that went on today. You guys were talking about the stores where you walk in and you can't find a seat because everybody's been in that seat for years. There's a shop that last year changed hands in Georgia, and a customer walked into the humidor, came out with a big handful of cigars, about $130, $140 worth of cigars, and went to sit down in a chair in the lounge. And three guys said, "You can't sit in that chair. It's Harry's chair." He said, "Harry's not here." "Well, he'll be here any minute." "You mean I can't sit here and smoke?" No, he went back up, cashed in his money, took his credit card back, and left the shop. You know, there's that kind of stuff goes on all the time. Jose, whenever we've done events, doing those great tasting events, and we've done quite a few, you never fail to mention CRA, every one of those shows. So anybody that's doing cigar events that doesn't mention CRA is doing the industry a disservice. Let's see. Oh, Carlito. Many years ago, I used to smoke a lot of Fuentes in a size called Panatella Fina. And then when I couldn't get those, there was a Montesino in the Panatella Fina. Great size for me. Love that. Also, being an old guy, I remember when the 77, the Shark came out. Wasn't there a nickname, the SS Shark? The Shanken Shark at some point? And let's see. Oh, here's a Stump the Professor. There was a couple of people on today watching from the Czech Republic. So here's the question for you, Professor. Jeremiah, get ready for the the announcement where we're done from. Professor, go, Jeremiah, go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded that this show is broadcasted out of Basel, Switzerland. Any foul language or other notions, you can bitch to nobody, because this is free on air.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Jose, these guys have been on watching us today from the Czech Republic. Here's your question. What do you call an abortion in Prague? I think I stumped the professor. It's a canceled check. Okay, moving to this week's story. There's Brenda and I, living in Texas for as long as we did. We used to visit the state fair every year with a lot of friends who owned decent-sized ranches, had some cattle, had some horses. So we would always wind up going through the livestock exhibit, and we're walking through the area where they had the breeding bulls. And there's a couple walking, a couple feet away from us, and there's a sign, and there's a big bull in there, and the sign says, "This bull mated 50 times last year." And the wife gives the husband a shot in the ribs and says, "Look at that, 50 times. What do you think of that?" He said, okay. And they walk a little further down, and there's a sign in front of a bull that says, "This bull mated 125 times last year." She gives him another shot in the ribs and says, "Hey, that's more than twice a week. You could learn something from this bull." And they go down a little bit further. There's another bull there that's huge. And he says, the sign says, "This bull mated 365 times last year." She gives him another shot in the ribs and says, "That's once a day. You got to learn something from this bull." The husband finally gets pissed, and he looks at her and says, "Listen, why don't you just go over there and ask him how many times it was with the same frickin' cow?"
Good.
Oh, that's fantastic, Rich. Oh my God. Each one gets better and better.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Rich, that was wonderful. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
I'll be here.
Great to see you, Rich. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let me wrap it up on my behalf. First of all, I would like to thank Eric and Jordan for accepting our invitation. I've considered you friends. I mean, I remember years ago I was in Colorado and we did the show there. Then you guys invited me. I had to get up 3 o'clock in the morning to do it. I'm not saying this because you guys are in front of me. You guys have a reputation. You've been honest. You don't take sides. You report the news and your ratings. Some people might agree with them, others don't. But to me, they're fair. You're just. You're not moochers. And to me, you're a father and son professional team. From myself, I want to wish you all the best. Continue success. And you know that here at Arturo Fuente Company and Meet the Professor, the doors will always be open for you, Eric and Jordan. It's been our honor, a privilege to have you guys here on our show today.
Well, thanks for having us. I got to say, Jose, I can't wait till we get back to the days when we can be hanging out in person. That was a blast. I remember we went to one of your tasting seminars, Jose, and the first thing you say to everybody is, "Now remember, there's no stupid questions. Does anybody have any questions?" The first guy was like, "Yeah, like why does a Toro taste better than a Robusto?" And you said, "That is the dumbest question I've ever heard." So I always loved that, and you always made me laugh. So thank you guys. I appreciate all of you guys, and thanks for letting me and Jordan spend a Sunday with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, Eric, Jordan, I would really love to thank you both very much. It's always welcoming and warm every time I see your show. I'm very grateful to Jose for introducing me to you. And to be honest, one of the first shows that I did this year was with you, and I was very nervous. I wasn't accustomed to these things and to do these shows. And I really appreciate and I admire a lot the approach that you take, that it's all positive. As you said, the industry is positive. And that's one thing that Meet the Professor we try to promote, is that we're all one in unity, and to promote and to illustrate the positive aspects of the industry. Being a father and son team, coming from someone who's worked with his father his entire life, and my father was his father, and all of us that our fathers were in the industry and we worked together, it means a lot to me to see a father and son working together and bringing so much to the world of cigars. Not only your passion, the freshness that you both have, and you just come across as you are, so sincere. And I just want to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be on your show and breaking that stage fright that I had about being on a show and everything. You just made me feel so good. It went by so fast. And I just like to say both of you are first class. And
Well, thank you.
just continued
Really appreciate it.
success. I send you big hugs. I kind of feel that you're my good friends. You know, I've gotten to know you by watching you constantly. And I just send you all my love and all the best. And thank you so much again, both of you.
Big virtual hugs in return.
All right, gentlemen. Well, not much to add. I think Carlito wrapped it up, and Jose very well. But it was a true pleasure to spend time with you today. You're both gentlemen, and it was a hell of an experience to spend the last hour and a half. I certainly had a wonderful time, and I know many other people out there did as well. So we're looking forward to a part 2 of this relationship further down the line. But in the meantime, we wish you the best. We wish you health and success. And seeing a father and son interacting the way you do is certainly both a blessing, but also, I'm sure, an inspiration to many people out there. You guys are very cool, and I don't use that word very often. and we really appreciated today's show. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having us, guys. Really appreciate it.
Melanie, will you please explain to all of our viewers out there how they can watch this show again? Because this was one of the better shows that we've had, and I'm sure a lot of people out there will want to watch this a second, third, and fourth time. Please.
Yeah,
And I bet they'll even want to share it with their friends who did not catch it here. So you guys, please go to our YouTube channel. It is tinyurl.com/The Professor Show and hit that subscribe button. It looks like a bell and it does say subscribed once you're there. So also be sure to go to our Facebook page and hit that subscribe button. It also looks like a bell now. So if you go to the page, facebook.com/The Professor Show, and you can hit a bell there, and actually it'll allow you to say which what you want to be notified about. So you can do posts, but mainly make sure that you get notified to our lives, because that is where all the action happens. And be sure to hit like and share, and have a great Sunday.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Melanie. The Professor, who's on the show next week?
Well, next week we're going to have a great show with a personal friend of mine, person that's been in the industry for a long time, the one and only Mr. Steve Saka. So Steve is a straight shooter. He's a person that has a huge following, and I know we're going to have a great show. I've talked with him. He's very excited. He's very honored. We're very happy and honored to have the one and only Mr. Steve Saka next week. So tune in, 2 p.m. next week. So keep it smoky, guys.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our show. To the Cigar Dojo team, thank you very, very much for blessing us with your presence. We are coming to an end. Please take care of each other and of yourselves. And remember, if you don't do it with passion, do not do it at all. Bye-bye for now, and see you next week. Same place, same time.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Happy Sunday. It was wonderful to see both of you.
You too, Cynthia.
Fantastic.
Stay on for a
Okay.
couple minutes, Carlito, if you can.
We'll see
Bye
you
for
on
now.
your shows and
I
your
love